Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. We are glad to have you here. This is a meeting of PennLive and the Patriot News editorial board. And I'm delighted to know that we do have 4 members of our editorial board here with us. I will introduce them first before we get to our distinguished guests who are here. We have Sam Pimentel, who is one of our youth editorial board members. He's a student at Dickinson College. We have Dr. Nirmal Joshi with the Joshi Foundation, who keeps us healthy, if not wealthy, right? And we have Gloria Merrick, who is with the Latino Center. Say the name, Latino, I always confuse it. Latino Hispanic American Community Center, thank you. And of course, the Reverend Sandy Strauss, who is an activist and who won actually our last, not won, but we were honored to have her accept our Peace and Justice in PA Award during our last event. So we're glad to have them here. Others may be joining us, but for now, what this is our attempt to really talk conversationally. This is not a debate, this is a discussion among the candidates for Harrisburg's mayoral election. This is the primary election, so it's really Democrats who are here that we're talking to. And I don't want to neglect that we have John Lucy here with us, a reporter for PennLive who's been covering this race. And he's got some questions of his own he'd like to throw out as well. So please relax, guys. Well, first of all, let me just say thank you. Thank you to each one of you for being here. Look, it's not easy to run for anything. And we owe a debt of responsibility, of gratitude to those who are willing to take on the responsibility of public service. I say that sincerely. I know how hard it is. So let's get started. We are here. We have with us our current mayor, Mayor Wanda Williams, and we are glad that she was able to take time from what I know is a very busy schedule to be here. We have Lamont Jones, who is now a city councilman and is now looking to be mayor, to run the city. And of course, we have someone everybody knows, Dan Miller, who is a treasurer and who served in Harrisburg government and is about town for a long time. So 3 distinguished candidates here for mayor. Let's get started. I'm going to get started with the first question, which is to just ask them to briefly tell us how they would like to be introduced, what they would like our community to know. So Mayor Williams, would you like to start?
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Ms. Joyce. Are you asking me how I like
Just,
to?
yes, you introduce yourself as you would like to be introduced.
Okay. Well, I'm Mayor Wanda R.D. Williams, and yes, I would like to be introduced as mayor as such.
Okay, Mayor Williams, and you've been serving for the past?
I've been serving for the past 3 years and 4 months, well,
And
5
4
months so
months.
far.
But before that,
Before that, I was the Harrisburg City Council president for 14 years, but on City Council for 16 years. And before that was with the Harrisburg School District as the president of Harrisburg School District. And before that, president of ASME 3105.
very good. Thank you for that. Lamont Jones, tell us who you are.
Lamont Jones. I am, as you said earlier, a current city council member, 20-year business owner, a community advocate, served on several leadership positions for the last 15 years. Just someone that's looking to bring a much-needed change to the city of Harrisburg. I'm someone that spends a lot of time in the community, listening to and working with some of the grievances that lie so deeply inside of our communities. And it's just been a great time being able to serve. So I just want to be introduced and remembered and looked upon as someone that is simply a conduit to our city.
Got it.
So that's it.
Okay. Dan Miller?
That's it. Dan Miller, that's how I like to be introduced, just as like a neighbor. But actually, this is a great chance for me to tell you about myself, my qualifications, because I think I really have the qualifications and skills to be mayor. And I think if you compare mine to the other candidates, you'll see that that's also the case. I have an BS in accounting from Elizabethtown College, local school. I also attended HAC. I'm a graduate of HAC. And then I have a master's from Penn State Main Campus in business administration with a concentration in finance. I'm a CPA. That's a certified public accountant. So I'm a licensed professional. I founded and worked and managed a successful CPA firm in downtown Harrisburg for the past 35 years, Miller Dixon Drake. I have worked with hundreds of small and large businesses, individuals. I have all kinds of financial and management experience. So that's sort of the business side. On the government side, yes, I started on a city council for 4 years, then I became the controller of the city for 4 years. Now I'm the treasurer for 4 years. And if I win this race, I probably will be the only person that would have held every elected office in city government, but I don't know if that's the case or not. So I have a broad range of experience in city government. And frankly, that's why I'm running. I mean, I believe this, from my perspective, the city has just been so mismanaged for so long, so many missed opportunities, so much waste, so much incompetence. That's gotten me motivated to run. But in addition, I'm very much a community person. I've been on boards, from WITF to Planned Parenthood. I'm the founder of the Gay and Lesbian Pride Parade, or not parade, the Gay and Lesbian Pride Festival, the Gay and Lesbian Business Work Chamber of Commerce in Harrisburg, both of those. I've been on many boards there. I currently serve as treasurer of the Community Checkup Center in Hall Manor, and we provide medical services to those in need regardless of payment. In addition, I'm a gardener. That's really what I like to do. I was gardening this morning, weeding, and I own and manage the Atlas Street Community Garden in Atlas Street, which is a real little gem up there in uptown Harrisburg.
Okay, well, very good. That gives us a little bit of an introduction into you. Right now, what I'd like to also let our board know, as well as the folks who may be viewing online, we did invite every candidate. We made an attempt to, Antone Cook, the candidate who is missing, did say he would be here, so I don't know why he isn't, but he confirmed he would be here. We have not been able to reach Mr. Lewis Butts. We did try every avenue available. We're not able to get any kind of response, so that's why we are missing those two candidates. But we go with what we have, right? All right, so now let's I think maybe the first question to throw out as you're getting your thoughts and your questions together. Clearly, there are three issues, I think, that each one of you may see as the top issues that you think voters should care about. Maybe there's 5 or 20, I don't know, but let's just say 3. Let's take your top 3. If you were to say what are those top 3 issues that I think you as a person think voters should care about, and what you bring to try to resolve if there are issues, or just how you would tackle those issues. So why don't we start with you in the middle, Lamont?
Oh, yeah. So the number one, I think, should be standing out for all of us is public safety. I know a lot of people want to look at, the current administration, our police department, and I'll be the first to say, I can't put the blame all on them. We have a culture issue with our youth today. And that's not a police thing. That's something that our community has to hone in and focus on and become a community again. We all talk about that village that we all pretty much saw. I know you've seen it, but maybe you've been a part of it. But I was gracious enough to live long enough to see something like that. And I think going back to that is one way that we can help curb some of those issues that are happening in the city of Harrisburg. So public safety, I think everybody has a right to that, whether it's in a workspace, whether it's in school, the grocery store. We all have a right to public safety. So I would say that's the number one, which would coincide with our economy. People, if people are working, they're less likely to go out and commit crimes. And I think that's one of the things we see. There aren't many jobs in the city. There's not a lot of production happening in the city of Harrisburg. So I think that's one of the issues that we see. Wherever you have poverty, you're going to see crime, and those rates are going to raise. So you want to focus on those two things. Those are some of the two main areas. And one that's really kind of outside of what city government does, but I think should be a part of, and that's our school system. We have to be educating. We have to look at the education system. If we want to attract people to come live into the city of Harrisburg, I know for any young parents out there, and anybody that has children and they're looking to move to a new place, the first thing they're going to look at is the school district. So I think partnering and working with our school district, and we can kick all of those two things I aforementioned, we can tackle those by starting in one of those. With that area right there with education, it'll help with our economics. People are more employable. They know what they're doing. And as I said, if you're making money, you're less likely to be out making crimes.
So public safety, the economy, and education. And you bring specifically what to tackle those? How do you specifically tackle those?
Well, I just talked about it. Well, currently as a public safety chair, I'm constantly in the community. I'm actually having a community meeting Thursday from 6 to 8 at the frat house on State Street. I've had symposiums at Harrisburg University during my tenure on council. And prior to that, I've already been working with the youth. I've been in the school system, worked at Camp Curtin for maybe about 4 years. I was in Still High School for about 3 years. Worked on the playgrounds with our youth. So this is something that is near and dear to my heart because not only from some of the experiences I experienced as a young person, I know what they're going through. And that's, you have to be present to understand that. So just continue to work closely with them and find resolutions, looking at other municipalities and seeing what they're doing. I've recently been in contact with Brandon Scott, the young mayor down in Maryland. He was able to reduce crime by 66%. And that's huge. We're talking about Baltimore, Maryland. So, we don't need to really reinvent the wheel. Just continue tackling some of the things. And again, you have to be there to understand what those issues are. So that's one way. I've also been working with the school district, making sure going into the schools, making sure we're inspiring our children and not putting them down. They're making mistakes, but we don't want them to make mistakes that can end up costing them their life or someone else's life. So continuing to be present there and consistent. Those are some of the things that you need to do.
Thank you very much. So, Mayor Williams, would you like to tell us what your top 3 issues are and how?
Well, probably about 10, but
Okay.
affordable housing is one of my primary focuses, and that's for the seniors as well as for those who are low-level poverty rate. And to date, I've had 250 affordable housing already up and running. One is about ready to be open, ribbon cutting in about another month or so. My second one is infrastructure. Our streets in the city of Harrisburg have never been paved in the last 30 or 50 years. And I heard about mismanagement by one of my opponents over there. Mismanagement occurred with the other 3 mayors, not me. Okay, I settled the $638 million debt. I am the one who cleared the city of those debts. And as far as that is concerned, the infrastructure, as I said before, we have a tremendous amount of potholes here. And what we've been doing is I paved 56 streets in the city of Harrisburg already, and we will probably do another 50 this year, as well as the blight. We have a lot of blightness in our city of Harrisburg, and that's due to some of the homeowners who live out of state, and we're not able to get in hold of them. So what we're doing is we have an in-house demolition specialist now that we utilize, since we're saving between $15,000 and $18,000 by taking down our own house because of the blightness. Another area I would like to deal with, and that is partnering with the Harrisburg School District. We meet, the superintendent of the Harrisburg School District and I meet every other week, twice a month. And we have come up with ideas of what we need to do, how we need to move forward with the city of Harrisburg School District. Another thing, economic development. We've already have a task force that we put in place right now to address economic development, how we want to move forward and help some of the owners down in the city of Harrisburg downtown area. When we received the COVID money and ARPA money, we are giving the homeowners and as well as the downtown business owners, we've given them $10,000 to start on their feet. Now we have the ARPA money. We're helping those individuals who need help with their homes, windows, doors, and whatever. We're going to now and do that. So we're trying to make sure that we revitalize the city of Harrisburg, because one of my opponents said about revitalizing the city. Well, I look at the city now. I've already revitalized that. Streets are cleaner. Streets are cleaner, and it's safer. And I know crime isn't some topic for everybody nationwide, but we have to have everybody involved, not just the parents, but we have to have the school district. And we have someone who's on public safety that needs to be concerned about what we do. Interaction with the police officers, that's not happened. So we're trying to do training. We're trying to do additional training with the police officers to have diversity and as well communication to make sure that they understand what our kids need and how they need to approach our residents in the city of Harrisburg.
So affordable housing, the school system you mentioned, the infrastructure, roads, infrastructure,
right.
Those would be your top 3.
Yes.
Right. Which economy also I think you threw in there.
Yeah,
so that would be
economic,
all right.
yes.
Okay. Mr. Miller.
Can I give you 4?
All right.
Okay,
Go for it.
I'm just going to give you a quick 4.
Okay.
Because I think for this city or any city to strive, we need safe streets. We need strong schools, we need stable finances, and we need business opportunities. So, okay, those are my sort of my four. But and I can just talk about those, and you can ask me about them. But what I really want to get to, it's management. You know, I'm a business professional, and I know that management at the top is the key to any really successful business. You have the same business, you got a good manager and a poor manager, you get very different results. Our city is very poorly managed. And I think you just did some article comparing Lancaster to Harrisburg. There's two reasons why maybe Harrisburg's lagging behind. One is the strong plan was really the strong arm plan. It was terrible for Harrisburg. It was the wrong move, and I'm sorry that we did it. And really, we have our hands tied behind our back right now. And we can get into that, you know, whatever. The other is we have been poorly managed. And I'm going to give you just one example, but I have others, and I can go into those. But my favorite example is that we have almost $14 million of delinquent trash receipts in accounts receivable that haven't been collected, that aren't being collected, and our administration is doing nothing to solve that. I have a very simple solution for it. And guess what? It's not my brilliant idea. I got this from the city of Allentown when I went to an accounting and government accounting conference in State College. What Allentown has done for the past 25 years is when they issue their real estate taxes in January, they put an extra line on there for the trash. And they bill it all at once. At the end of the year, if it's not collected, our real estate taxes go to the county to be collected. We end up collecting 98 or 99%. People pay their real estate taxes because they know they have to. If we did the same thing with trash, we'd collect those trash fees too. But nothing is happening there. That is not even maybe the best part of what I'd like to do, because we currently send out almost 200,000 invoices every year. Then we get 200,000 receipts coming back in. That's a lot of work. It takes our IT department 3 days to print those invoices every month. Then they go to the mailroom. I'm not sure how long they're there, but I'm sure it's the biggest project the mailroom has, you know. And so if we build this on our real estate taxes, we'd eliminate all of that. That's 200,000 invoices going out, 200,000 payments coming in. It would be transformative. We would save hundreds of thousands of dollars in direct costs, not to mention it would increase our cash flow. As a treasurer, we invest, we would earn hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And here's the thing, that's not 1 year. That's every year. This year, next year, next year. So when you think about Allentown, Allentown's been doing this for 25 years. What's Harrisburg been doing? We've been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars just to try to collect trash, and we're doing a terrible job at it. That is classic mismanagement. And there's many examples like that. If we do some different things, you know, then Harrisburg could get a lot closer to Lancaster or a lot closer to Allentown because we are mismanaged. And I think the biggest thing that I didn't mention there was the time savings. We'd have 3 days in IT. In our Treasury Department, we'd have a lot more hours. In our mailroom, we'd have people that would have a lot more time to spend on other issues.
So I get it. You want to bring
things.
efficiencies into the management. Got it.
It's
Got it.
all
Okay.
about that.
All right. So I think we've tackled that, at least what your top issues are. I'm going to now turn it over to our editorial just to see if there are any burning questions, because I always have questions if there's a burning one. If not, we'll go back to here. John, do you want to move in and ask one?
We just did a series on Harrisburg's deteriorated downtown. And if elected, give us your vision of what you think downtown would look like at the end of the next 4 years. Any specifics on the plan that you would use to achieve those results, and any metrics that you would use to measure success or failure.
And this is
specifically with-
specifically for economic development, is
Yeah,
what it sounds like.
economic and business
Okay.
development downtown.
Okay,
Since
so-
that's the most visible face of Harrisburg.
So why don't we start with Mayor Williams? You read or you may have served the articles, you know what's going on in New York, and what are your thoughts there?
Okay. Can I address something before I say
Sure,
that? Okay.
sure.
Before I say anything about economic development, I just want to address the fact that Mr. Miller sits up here and states that we are $14 million in debt, okay, because of the trash bill.
Didn't say that.
Excuse me. And we are not, because we are now in a collection process, have been for the last 3 years. Now, this didn't come under my administration. This has been existing for the last 2 or 3 administrations. And what we've done, we put a foot into it. We now have plans that we've met with residents and even business owners, and we set up payment plans. To date, we have over 100 payment plans, and we've collected $3 million. As far as the cash flow, we've had individuals come in and we've collected $1 million. Now, Mr. Miller does not state to this public that he can afford to pay his trash bills. And sometime when you go to a senior citizen's home, which he's never done, never talked to the senior citizens in Harrisburg, they don't have money to pay a trash bill. So they will buy food instead of paying a trash bill. Now, if you take that trash bill and give it to Dauphin County, that means you're getting a lien on your property. So if you don't pay it the next week, then that's up for sale of your property. Tell it like it is, Dan Miller. You've been trying to put this plan in process the whole time that we've been sitting on council, and I've been sitting there 16 years, and he wasn't effective then as he said he was, because he really never did anything. He kept pushing us. And there's people that are sitting here right now that owes trash bills. But what do we do? Do we go out there and give them a notice and say we're going to put a lien on your property? No. We've collected those individual bills, and those trash bills, as much as we can. Now, we have about 100 right now who we send out letters to. We have over 1,000 people who owe trash bills, and we're going to move on it. But we don't want to put liens on their homes so they lose their homes.
I see.
And that's his effectiveness. But he's not even in the office, so how did he know what's going on? His deputy treasurer runs everything.
All right. Well, Dan, I think you're chomping at the bit to be able to respond.
I was invited
pleasantly
to tell it
respond.
I
Yes.
was invited to tell it like it is.
And I'm telling it like it is.
Civilly.
going to.
Yes. Civilly. Let's be nice.
So first of all, I never said we were $14 million in
Okay.
debt. Let's get that correct.
You did with the trash bills, Dan. You did. You said it several times that we were $14 million owed to the city of Harrisburg.
Yeah, that's right. It's owed
14
to the city.
million
That doesn't
owed
mean
to the
we're
city.
That's
Okay.
not in debt.
All right.
I'm sorry. Let's
this
make
wasn't
that.
gonna be
That
In debt is when
it
we
isn't.
owe money.
So quickly, we need to move on to the net. But
But
Okay,
I don't
no,
want him
I'm
to
not
be
done.
misinformed.
I'm not done
Right.
because this is the other misconception. Nowhere in my plan are we putting liens on any property. That is completely false. I know Gloria Martin Roberts has been saying that. That's completely wrong. Here's what happens. It's the same thing that we do every year at the end of the year for anybody who doesn't pay their real estate taxes. It goes to the county collects them in their way. There's
Got
no
it. So
lien
you would
put on
connect
that.
it to
So
the
this-
real estate,
This is
yeah.
a complete misnomer.
all right. So let's get back to the original question, just
the
quickly.
economy.
Just when you're looking at what's happening in New York and what's happening in Lancaster, right? What do you see? What is your plan for the city of Harrisburg?
We developed, okay, and I will address that.
Okay.
We developed a task force, economic development, and that included business owners, also residents of the city of Harrisburg, and people from the administration, in my administration. And we sit down and we're trying to develop a plan, as well as speaking with Downtown Improvement District. And what we're doing now is finding out what is the cause of the deterioration downtown, what is the cause of the reason that downtown is not spurring like other downtown areas are. Now, take consideration that we had COVID, and since COVID, we've lost many, many, many people because they weren't able to revive their business. We did give them $10,000 twice, and they've still not been able to pay all their bills and be productive as such. But we are looking at what we can do to make sure that we take a big chunk of what we have here left in economic development and try to help those business owners.
So you have got a task force
Yes,
that's looking at
presently.
the issue, trying to figure
Developing a
out
plan.
how to get them out of the COVID slump, so
Right.
to speak.
Right.
Lamont, what is your plan?
Yeah, so looking at the downtown area, we have several corridors from Front Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, and 4th Street. All of those at one time connected. And again, we talked about this, and we all are aware about the state workers not returning. through the COVID pandemic. However, it's time to move away from that aspect anyway. So me speaking with business owners right now that are there and potential ones that are wanting to come in to the city of Harrisburg, it's really not attractable for them to come in. And I won't point fingers. I will just say that they're not happy with a lot of the red tape that they have to cut through, unlike developers. And I think this is a time where we should be sitting with Governor Shapiro and looking at those state buildings that are empty and repurpose those buildings because they're not bringing in any money. If you look at some of those buildings, even through the nonprofit sector, they're exempt from taxes, and we want to make sure that we can take the strain off the people in the city by bringing those businesses back. Again, those barriers that are in place, a lot of red tape, and I'm talking about zoning, ordinances, all of these things are people don't want to come into our city. And another thing that I discussed that we never really been marketed. We haven't been marketed. We do have the county, Harrisburg, Hershey. That's something we should really be working close with. There's also another financial plan that has been offered to the city through the ICA. Just looking at that, and we're looking at our property taxes. We get about 1% off of that. We're collecting maybe $990-something thousand a year just from that. So again, with those buildings reassessing themselves, you're going to lose money there. That's going to be a hit. So I'll take some of those buildings, put apartments there. We're talking about real living spaces, affordable market rate.
You have developers who are interested in doing that?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. And that will recreate the foot traffic, not depending on state workers, but actual residents.
So reducing the
revitalize.
red tape that you see is blocking
Yes.
so many people, so businesses from coming in. And the other one was talking to the state about repurposing some of the buildings.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. Dan?
If I would look 4 years ahead, I would say that we would have some type of camera system. And I'm going to tell you, I borrow this right from Lancaster. They've got 170 cameras. They've been doing it for 25 years. It's run by a nonprofit organization. It's not run by the city. And I'd love to see that set up. And they are very successful in giving information when crime occurs. And so I'd love to see that we have, well, I don't know if 170, but a lot of cameras throughout the city in a system-wide manner. I'd love to see that we'd have the brick building at the Broad Street Market refurbished, open with vendors and with customers, and get that back in full swing, hopefully. So those are some of the things I'd like to see. And frankly, yes, I think Lamont's correct. We have a huge building downtown. I think it's 333 Market. It's going to be empty at the end of the year. That needs to be converted into apartments. We need more foot traffic. And I think that's somewhat of the key to changing downtown, because I'm not convinced we can rely on the state and we don't need to rely on the state. We can transform it, hopefully, ourselves. And in order to do that, I think we need to work with CREDIC, with the Chamber of Commerce. We need to work with the business owners downtown. We need to work with some big companies outside of Harrisburg that understand Harrisburg has to have a thriving downtown. And they're there, but they want to work. And they want competent leadership that they can work with. So all of those things put together, what I'd like to see, I've been to many cities in Europe and some in the United States where they have these pedestrian-only zones. And that's where people go. That's where the entertainment is. That's where the restaurants are. And I think, as nice as Lancaster is, well, we've got a much better asset. We've got the Susquehanna River. It's completely gorgeous. You can't hardly go anywhere in the world and see a city next to a river that beautiful. So I think Harrisburg has the potential. We need competent leadership and the people with skills to be able to make that all happen. But it's going to be a collaborative effort.
Yeah, I know on that camera issue, that's come up before. The issue, I think, has been who's good. You have to monitor those cameras, like people are. So is that what the nonprofit does in Lancaster? They have volunteer monitors?
No, they're not volunteers.
Okay.
You can't have volunteers. You need to have people who are hired.
Right.
I think it's only costs them, like their operating expense, about $600,000 a year. And the other thing is the cameras break. So you have to have people to go out there and fix the cameras because they have to be working. So you really need...
Does everybody agree with cameras?
Yeah, but you have to understand, too, we've been in a defunct with the city of Harrisburg. We have not had the ability to have bond and also borrowing purchases. We cannot get any cameras yet because we don't have the money and funding to do that. We do have some camera systems that go in certain hot spots in the city of Harrisburg. And when he talks about zoning and ordinance, city council does the zoning. And they could take the zoning bill right now, the ordinances, and they can just, reaffirm those right now. But have they done that? They haven't amended anything. So when you talk about that, and Hershey Harrisburg is working with us. I am working with Governor Shapiro as well. He's loaned us DCED to come in to talk to us. We do have developers that want to renovate those empty buildings down there, but it's too costly because right now in the buildings alone, in each floor might have 3 bathrooms. You would have to renovate and put in electrical, you have to put plumbing, you'd have to break down walls. And it's cost effective right now at this point. Do you think that I'm sitting there not doing anything? No. I have developers coming into my office each week and wanting to develop anything, but they don't want to go before city council because they don't want to go and be interrogated. And that is some of the reasons. I just had Amazon as well, was interested in coming in to do some work and build. But, of course, they backed out at the last minute. If they think I'm sitting there on my hiney and not doing anything, I have to say, no, I'm not, because I do work with Critic and everybody else. And I am working to make sure that we take those empty buildings and be effective and have some people in them.
All right. Ms. Jones, don't worry. I'm going to give everybody a chance. You don't have to worry. I'm going to give you a chance to talk. But she did raise some issues about obstacles that city council may be placing in the path of developers. And so you want to talk about that a little bit?
If we want to talk about city council, and I'm trying to be respectful here. I didn't
Please be respectful. Yes.
I didn't
Well,
come
we're
here
not
to
debating,
debate.
but I just want to make sure people
Yes,
understand
ma'am,
the correct
I didn't
thing.
say anything. I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Mr. Miller's saying anything.
So
All
let's
I'm
get back to
talking about is my
what
plan.
about city council and
So
it's
if we
being
really want
receptive
to
to
talk about city council is not blocking anything. And they should be afraid to come in front of city council because we're not going to rubber stamp anything. If it's not right for the people, we will not pass it. Now, these two have sat on city council when the Reed era was here. And what happened? We're still paying for it today. So if we want to talk about what city council has done, let's look at our records with all of this experience that everyone is, putting out here, how long they've been here. Experience is very important for us.
Okay.
But it's not
Yeah, I think-
everything.
Got
it's
it.
not everything.
We weren't with the
Dan, you wanted to say that? I have
want-
another
I'm-
question.
not everything.
First, I want to address the Reed thing
We've
because
been
I don't
Reed.
know, Lamont, I didn't know you, and I don't know if you were around back
I
then.
was. I'm 50 years old.
Listen, nobody fought Steve Reed on city council harder than I did. And
Okay.
you got to know that, and everybody knows that.
We did. And we were only on there 2 years.
Anyway, whatever. I just want to mention that.
Go ahead.
And secondly,
I don't
on
even
the-
think I answered your question about the cameras.
Well,
though.
let's
I'm
just
going on the
let's
cameras.
just
That's
we
where
gotta
I'm
stay
going.
focused here. Go ahead.
I think the camera bill for Lancaster, they just did all of them. I think it was like $3 million. That's not much at all. And they raised that from some contributions from their business owners, and then they raise it from some other grants, et cetera. I think we can easily raise $3 million to put cameras up throughout the city.
And that's for staffing too, or is that just a one-time cost?
That's a one-time.
Okay.
The cost of operations is like $600,000 a year.
Okay.
Which I still think is very reasonable.
Okay, you had.
But yes,
Go ahead.
with the cameras, and I would agree with some of the cameras, but not all of the cameras are wiring the whole city. Again, we can look right down the street to York. They've been very successful. I actually did a demo with the Harrisburg Police Department during the budget time and asked them if they wanted to purchase these cameras. My council and colleagues would have approved it. There are 30-something officers that are missing right now that aren't employed with the city of Harrisburg. And I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. I'm just saying the facts are we're down 30-something police officers. So what York was able to do was purchase CCTV cameras they didn't need to be hooked up to infrastructure. They were very durable through weather. They stored over 6 months of data. They had LPR capability, connectivity.
What happened?
You got to look again. When you Dan is correct. Our city doesn't work from the bottom up. It starts from the top down. And you have to see why. That's a question for the administration of why they didn't want to purchase.
Mayor Williams, you want to comment
First
on
of all, we don't work from the bottom up. and top
That's what I
down.
said.
Where we don't work from the top down because first of all, we don't financially have the necessary funding to get those cameras at this point.
see.
We put in several grants though for the camera system to be in the city of Harrisburg. These gentlemen have to understand. I was there for 2 years under the Reed administration, only 2 years, and Dan was as well. But this city was in debt. We had no borrowing process. We had nothing. We couldn't do anything, no bond deals, nothing. So we're just recouping from me paying off the debt in 22, 23, $638 million. So when they say we can get $3 million, no. I have to budget that for that $3 million. And right now, that's not in our budget.
Got it. All right, wait,
Can
now
I
there
make-
was a quite,
Can I have one quick follow-up?
Can I-
on-
wait, wait,
Alrighty.
I wanna
Go
get
ahead.
off
Get
the
a chance to follow up on the camera thing because
Well, I want
Lamont
to get off
mentioned
the camera. I want to get back to development.
Well, I'm going to say one thing on the cameras, please, because Lamont
just,
was
just
like
one
not-
second. Let's
Let's
have
do it
some
quickly.
rules here.
Okay.
2 seconds to talk about the cameras and we move on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's just that I want to tell them my experience at my garden last summer, which is up on the 2200 block of Atlas Street.
Okay.
And if you know that street, last summer, a woman was murdered at 4th Street and Woodbine. 2 summers ago at Emerald and 4th Street, there was a shootout. Last summer, I'm in my garden when 2 guys start shooting and running right by. They ran this far from me. They had the gun out. My neighbors want cameras. This is what they say to me every time there's a shooting. They don't want to live in a neighborhood like that. So I think cameras are really important, and that would be the
For
number one
safety,
priority.
for safety. All right, let's move on. John wants to
Yeah,
take us.
one question, because I think that answer when we were talking about development, we heard you talking about the red tape. We heard you talking about council interrogating developers and developers not wanting to deal with Harrisburg. And you were talking about different mismanagement and basically that was basically a window into why I don't think we're seeing development. Outwardly, people looking in think Harrisburg is a place where projects go to die.
That's right.
Whether it's at council, whether it's the bureaucracy, or whether it's leadership.
And-
so how do you make places, Harrisburg, a place where projects happen?
And how do we foster, guys, a better sense of working together with respect toward each other?
And that's the.
I mean,
I
wait
think
a
that's
minute.
the
Let me
main
just
issue.
finish. Exactly.
That's the main
What
issue.
I'm even seeing, you're 3 decent, good people. It doesn't have to be like this.
At all.
I'm just saying, I see hostility. I feel it. I'm just saying, can we also work on, getting a nicer demeanor for our public here who's looking in? So, do you want any?
I'd
Go
love to
ahead,
respond.
Mr. Miller. Go
I think
ahead.
I disagree with what you're
all
saying
right.
because Lamont and I feel get along really well, and we go out to dinner every couple months. We've kept up. I've worked with him on. If there's anybody that I can work with on City Council, it was Lamont Jones. Let me tell you that. And Wanda and I have always been good. I know right now things are a little dicey because I'm running for mayor, but other than that, we always have gotten along. And
Okay.
and so I think.
So I'm wrong. Things are hunky dory. Great. Okay, I get it.
Misconception.
wrong
A
about
misconception.
the
A
dysfunction.
misconception.
Wait, let's let Mayor Williams go ahead.
Our
Mayor.
misconception is not hunky-dory. And Dan and I have not always got along. If you don't do what Dan wants, Dan gets mad. Dan's very vengeful. And I've known that for the last 20 years. You have to do what Dan wants to do. Dan has been trying to do this ordinance to attach the trash bill to the real estate tax. Since we have not done that, and he was on council, there's other council members that's on there that wouldn't do it as well. If you haven't done it in the last 16 years, what does that tell you? That we're concerned about our residents' homes being taken from them because of a trash bill. And right now, I said we got 1,000 people, and some of them sitting right here. Old bills.
Somebody here owes trash?
Some owes trash
Okay.
and real estate and everything else. But do we say that? Do we go out and tell that individual, embarrass that individual? No, we don't
Okay.
do that.
So let me.
And we have, and wait, excuse me.
She is
Excuse
still
me.
speaking, sir.
Excuse me.
Continue.
And I'm trying to tell Dan, you have the means to be able to pay your trash bills. You have to go knock on these doors and talk to those senior citizens who want to get out of their homes and get into a lower apartment building
Okay.
and room. And they don't have the financial means. They don't have the financial means even to keep their cat or their dog. Dan went now because he's knocking on doors. Where was he at when during the whole year when you weren't running as the president? What were you doing? I mean, as the mayor, what were you doing? How are you going out and attaching yourself, communicating with people? See, I'm not out in the street every day when there's shooting and everything. I shouldn't be at a shooting. But I'm out in the street knocking on doors during the time that I'm the mayor. And I'm out there assisting people with problems.
I understand. Mr. Lamont,
Yeah. So what is the question? Because I just don't want to keep going back.
we
and
were,
forth.
well,
I'm not here to argue.
I know you aren't.
take
So
shots.
let's,
This
did you
is-
have something, did you want to
Yeah,
comment?
it was
on
something
Go
that
ahead.
he said. I can
I don't
answer
think
it.
it's
I
about
can
being
answer
nice
that.
to each other. I think it's about a level of dysfunction
Yes.
in Harrisburg government
Yes.
through all the branches, bureaucracy, city council, mayor's office, leadership, where the reputation is these Harrisburg is where projects go to die. They don't, and people don't want to do business in
so-
Harrisburg.
Exactly.
So go ahead, Mr. Lamont.
And so where I would say I would somewhat agree with you, but this isn't a place where businesses go to die. City council is vanguard for the city government. So if we see an administration that are sending down things and rubrics aren't right, budgets are being overspent, unauthorized overspending, things of that nature. Same companies keep coming in, and that's not trickling down to the residents. We can have economic development, but where's the empowerment? And I vowed as I ran for city council that I would include the residents in the economic growth of this city. So when you see that, that's what you see being played out. We are not holding up any projects. On contrary to what's been said and spewed, we have not held up any contracts. We sit and talk to developers, and I wish that when these things go out, I hope that you guys will really do some fact checking, because you would see there's a total different conversation when I'm sitting with business owners and developers. They do not like what's happening with this administration, and it's not council that has enforcement powers or anything. We just hear their case, and all of us have our own individual mindsets, and we go out and make the best decision. I know when Lamont Jones gets any paperwork in front of him, there's one question that comes to mind. I don't care what it is. How does this benefit the people of city of Harrisburg?
So-
and if that's not right, then I have a problem.
So,
What,
Mr.
what about the Broad Street Market?
Absolutely.
That has become a symbol of the
Easy.
dysfunction.
Easy answer.
Okay.
Easy answer. That's one of the times I was talking about when they came up with a rubric that we never saw. We put it we put it in committee. We wanted to go through all of the RFPs, and we did, and we saw numbers being fudged. Some things were being graded that wasn't even. The questions weren't even asked, and they were getting grades on it. So we just didn't think it was a fair process. Not that Alexander Company wasn't a good company. They have a wonderful 100-year reputation. We can go down to Philadelphia where they repair smoke and fire remediation with the library and the churches down there. Great reputation. So it wasn't on them, and that wasn't the issue. And even in that time period, it was only 3 weeks, and the rest of the time is now on the administration,
So
not city council.
let's bring in Dan here. You haven't had a chance. You want to talk about that?
Yes, I'd love to.
Go
love
ahead.
to talk, because I do talk to all of these folks, and I think you're right, John. In some way, that is the attitude. And I've had elected officials come to me. They are begging for competent leadership in the city. That's the problem. People are dying for this. I just had a business person say yesterday, Dan, if we made a few changes down there, projects would flood into the city. But they need consistency. They need people who can get back to you. I have a woman who has a nonprofit, has a building, has the project, has the money. They're waiting and waiting for the city to get back to them. It's been 3 months, and no one returns their phone calls. No one gives them the final go-ahead. They want to have some projects scheduled in the September, but they don't know if they'll have the project done because the city is so inept at really working with developers.
Okay, let's bring Mayor Williams in.
Well, you've been here all your life, Dan, and you as well, Lamont. And you're saying that the city is, the reason that things are not being done. The developers come to us and talk to me. I've opened my door for these council members. These council members have not taken the opportunity to come talk to me. Now, if you think that if we want to work together, you would think that they would come and talk to me on a Friday or any other day, because some of them work and some of them don't work. And they're there all day. Those that don't work can come and talk to me during the day. Those that do work, I stay there to 7:30, 8 o'clock every night. And when they're talking about, the opportunities that developers I sit with first. City council is a hindrance, and he knows that as well. You don't have to go before city council and they interrogate you. You're going in to explain as a developer what you plan to do, how you plan to do it, who are you going to have working for you. Not to be questioned whether if it's a MWBE or MWBE or WBE in a minority contractor. You, first of all, get all the details first before you consider yourself, as they say, a consultant, and be able to know what architect or construction manager is to do. They need to get a lesson on that, because city council hinders me every time that I send something down. They hold up. They did hold up for the market. And the reason that the Broad Street Market wasn't done is because Broad Street Market committee or board let the insurance lapse. So the city of Harrisburg had to follow the regulations of the insurance company that we have. We're self-insured. We have to follow that pattern. We couldn't even get inside the market. The insurance company wouldn't allow us to get in for about a year. But city council held us up because they did not understand what a construction manager was and what a construction firm was.
Okay. All right. I want to bring in a question here, but I'm not sure who wrote this question. Why don't you, because it's hard for me to read it, so.
Okay, yeah, it's a little messy.
All right.
Can you read it into the mic, please?
Yeah.
Sure. And this is really related to John's question.
Here, you can sit and read it.
Given the current series that John and Sukelider have been doing on this between Harrisburg and Lancaster, and how the bottom-up community process has worked really well in Lancaster, and the process that has gone on in Harrisburg for years, which has been basically a top-down process where people and mayors in the past in charge have basically dictated the way things should be. It's placed us on a roller coaster. We have been on a roller coaster for years, and I've watched this. I've lived here for 28 years, watched the ups and downs on 2nd Street. What are your thoughts on moving us forward with real community input in this process? And has the idea of having an independent consultant in that process, much like Lancaster did, been considered at all? Because I know from running my own boards on nonprofits, you need somebody who's impartial to really oversee that process. It doesn't work when you try to dictate from the top down. Okay. One other thing on this, and that is that I've seen little opportunity for input from neighborhoods like Allison Hill and Uptown, which is where I live, and I've lived there for 28 years, and I've seen the drive-by shootings literally in front of my own house. My husband's car was shot. I see lots of activity in the most visible places, but I don't see it in the less visible places in town. It's just not there. So, and prime example, what happened with the sinkhole on 4th Street, which languished for God knows how long between Maclay and Woodbine, and people couldn't get to their homes. That sat for, I think, over a year before that was fixed. And that's what the way, unfortunately, things have appeared to me. And I love Harrisburg. I wouldn't live anywhere else at this point. But that's my question.
So the question, I think, to be concise so you guys can, is do you have a plan to involve more of the community going forward in some of the plans? So you want to take it first, Mayor?
No, give it to Dan first.
Go ahead. Dan, you want to go first?
I can go.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to go?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care.
Yeah, I think she's correct. That's what it takes. It takes to be collaborative and make sure that you're actually working together. Contrary, again, to a lot of the things that are being said, I'm not someone that comes in and fight. I'm not fighting. I'm not even running against these two. I'm fighting for our city. So that's what you need. You want someone that's going to come in, and I've faced adversity. I've proven that I can get up off of the ground and do something better with my life, and that's more constructive. And that's what you want. You want a fighter in here. People will try to limit. We're limited by our past. No, I think it's the fear is what limits us. Right now, City of Harrisburg needs someone that is fearless, and his name's Lamont Jones. I'm not afraid to have the tough conversations with the developers or business owners. If it's not right and it doesn't work for our city, it just doesn't work. And I'm the only one sitting here that has been endorsed by council, which is a huge change, to say that we're going to be able to work together and get something done. And that's why I think I'm the best choice. Experience is great, but you need connectivity too. You need to be entrenched with the people. You need to be able to seal the deal, and sit down and we can't continue to fight amongst each other. Dan's correct. We work together. Other people may not care for Dan or me, but that's okay. But during city hours, we all took an oath to make sure that we were going to take care of our city. And I think that's what we should be doing.
So Dan, do you want to comment now?
Heard an answer, though.
You did, by working
let's-
with people.
Let's go let Dan talk. Go ahead.
Well, I think, the easy answer is say yes. I'm going to have a plan to collaborate. And this is actually, I think, a really tough one because I've heard that criticism that, we don't pay enough attention to Allison Hill, we don't pay enough attention to Uptown. I honestly think that downtown right now is the priority.
It is.
We really, and I know people may not like that, but
It's the truth.
downtown is a huge, huge thing that needs to get done, and that's what has to happen, and that's really the first thing. Doesn't mean, obviously I live uptown, and I love my little place up there, and I do want to see it be safe. I mean, I will definitely work on safety and in Uptown and in Allison Hill, but I'm to be honest, I'm going to really give a lot of attention to downtown because downtown has to be fixed. And it has to be fixed not just for the city, it has to be fixed for the entire region. It's so crucial and so important. And I think we can do it, but again, and it will be collaborative because I said it will be like with CREDIC, the Chamber of Commerce, with the big business people and the business owners that are downtown and anybody else who wants to have good ideas.
But then I think the issue for residents that I've heard, is that yes, when downtown was thriving, they wanted to see it trickle down to help the actual residents. So the question is, sure, all of this stuff can remain right there for the legislators and for the people who come in, but when do you make it meaningful for residents?
Well, I think that's why I live in the city, and I do believe in that type of strong town where where you live, everything is like within 15 minutes of you. I moved my mother into the city just 3 years ago, and she's older, she can't drive, but she can walk to the hairdresser. She can walk to the bodega. She can walk to the pharmacist.
She lives downtown?
She lives right across the street from me.
Okay, but what I'm talking about
And that's not
down
downtown.
and trickling
That's not-
into the poorer areas. I'm just being real. How do you make it
Well,
so that the
what's
people who
more
don't
real-
have anything start getting something from that development? I'm just saying, it's
I
great.
don't think you have it
You
right.
can't-
I mean,
okay.
I've just been everywhere, walking everywhere, and everywhere I go, there's a store, there's this, there's
but
all
not-
these, there's a restaurant, there's a pizza place. You can walk to all kinds of
Okay,
things
you're
all
not
over
hearing
the
what
city.
I'm saying. You're not hearing me. All I'm saying is, yes, you're right for downtown, but
No,
is there
that's
a
not
plan
downtown.
Okay.
I was out on South in 1,
Okay,
2.
all
I've
right.
been.
So you
I-
think
when-
it's okay in the residential area?
I think it could be better, but
Okay.
I don't think it's. I mean, you look at like 3rd Street. Well, that's more happening than downtown is.
All right.
And I think that anyway. The whole point of it is the whole point of I think city living is that everything is somewhat close, so that when you're there, you're not too far from a restaurant, from a pharmacy, from an auto shop.
Okay.
And I've been all over this city, going door to door, and I see those things everywhere. It's not the same and equal, but I think that it's organic and it needs to happen that way.
Mayor Williams, you wanted to comment on that?
Can I comment on that?
Yeah,
or
go
just,
ahead.
Okay,
Whatever
or
you
answer
wanna-
a question.
Well, I would
Okay.
say,
Let me-
take it, okay.
okay, let me-
As you want, yes.
Dan and Lamont, you lived here all these years. With all these years, I've been in politics for over 25 years. And I'm down and out on the street every day, every day. I can tell you where a pothole is. And she said on North 4th Street, that was during the Pappenfuss administration that they took so long. Because during Wanda Williams' administration, if there's a pothole, it's fixed immediately. If the trash not being picked up, it's fixed immediately. If a concerned citizen's side of her house came off, it was fixed immediately. When it's a fire, Wanda Williams is there, okay? I am there when an incident happens regarding our residents. They call me up, and I'm there to make sure that all 7 districts gets my attention. For these gentlemen, and they're saying they've been out on the ground, they've been in the schools. Well, where they've been, I haven't seen them. And I'm out there each and every day. Now, when you talk about what we can do to keep, your question was about a visibility. I am visible. My administration is visible. We have the best public works team than we ever had. Your streets are a lot cleaner, because when they're not clean and CRW doesn't do their job, I put my guys out there to do it. When the trash is out there, I put my guys. I don't care if it's 1 o'clock in the morning and a tree fell down. Down out in Bellevue, we had a tornado come through there. I didn't see Mr. Jones. I didn't see Mr. Miller out there. Mr. Miller's out here now because he's running for mayor. Mr. Jones out here now because he's running for mayor. Where were they at when the tornado whipped through Bellevue Park? We were out there the next day. My guys cleaned up 3 days. Took them 3 days to get 100 and something trees up. We spent $182,000 helping those residents before they can even call somebody. So I'm out there. So when they say that we're not visible, I'm visible. I live uptown. I now want Tri-County to put houses in the uptown area. They've been doing that out in the Allison Hill area. They now have put houses up in the uptown area. They're starting to build 5 and 6 houses. I want to make sure I'm a mayor for 7 districts, not for 1 district, 7 districts. And I want these residents to know that I'm here for them. And they call me, I'm out there. So I want you to understand my administration working harder than ever. My fire system, first on the scene. I don't care if it's in Pembroke. I don't care if it's in Linglestown. My police department. Now, I know that people have controversy with them, but instead of helping us, they're out there giving the police department a hard time. Okay? I have administration now that cares about the people. I've been caring about the people. Where long ago they're not, but I've been there. The kids reading in school, I've never seen them in school reading books to the kids. I went to 340 activities that the city of Harrisburg had. Where were they at? I've never seen them at an activity. They've never been to a nonprofit activity. So I'm saying to you, you want to give to the city? You want to give now because you want to run for mayor? I was already there, down on the ground, regardless of whatever it is. I was there.
Let me move on to.
Can
let
I
me
just
move.
push back on what Sandy Strauss's question?
Well, you've already commented
Yes.
on it, so let's move on. We only have a few more minutes now.
Please.
So one of the questions I did want to zero in on is, just the residents, especially the poorer residents in the area who are struggling. We say that. And one of the questions I have is you've actually talked about this. You've called on parents to be more responsible. So I'd like to hear from each one of you. Let's talk about the people, right? And what can we do to really reach down and help? There are a lot of single mothers. There are a lot of single grandmothers. So could we talk a little bit about the state of the family in Harrisburg? Are there any ideas we have on how to strengthen those families, how to help those families? I think you're a grandmother, so you get what I'm talking. Can we each spend a little time talking about really what is it going to take to help strengthen our families?
Well, I think education, because I'm finding out as the mayor, a lot of our residents are not aware of what services are being provided. That's why we came up 2 years ago with a book that gives them a whole listing of where you can, call if you need certain services. We tried to start a committee down in the city of Harrisburg where we would have a night for parents to come in and talk about their issues. And what happened, it started one week, and then Mr. Rodriguez, he continued on with it, but then the parents lost interest. But I thought it was very, very helpful because at that point, we interact with them, and they had concerns. And if they wanted to talk to Commissioner Carter, we set up meetings so they can talk to them concerning their kids. When they needed mental health counseling, we brought mental health counselors in to talk with their kids. So yes, I think what we need to do is have more meetings with parents in a small venue at a time in all 7 districts to be able to talk and find out what we can do and how we can help them, how you can better work with be more productive with your firemen, with your police officers.
Okay.
And
Lamont?
for me, it's just more simple than, I won't call it simple because, for one, if I'm speaking honestly, I think especially when it comes to the African American family. It's been a design for us to be apart, and that's something that's deeply rooted in a lot of our urban areas. Rather it's through incarceration, drug addiction, alcoholism, all of those different things. So if we can get to the core of what the issue is, because it's not just one. Again, this is a cultural thing, and you can't continue to, we can't continue to point at others. We have to really look at ourselves and see what we can do. Some of the things, there are programs that you have great fatherhood initiatives. I don't see a holistic one where you're actually trying to put the family back together. And that's a tough thing. So through some of my services, through Jones's Resources, I do just that. One of the areas that I look at is trying to get people employed. The young man and I were talking about earlier, if someone is employed, they're less likely to go out and commit crimes. And if you can give a father or a mother that's coming home from incarceration or just being healed through drug addiction, you give them a way to provide. Give them a way to provide. And if you can do that, you can put the man or the woman back into the home as a protector and a provider. And if that doesn't happen, we're going to continue to struggle. But even if that doesn't happen, you still go back to community. You go back to your community. I said it earlier, we're talking about the village. When I can go to a neighbor when I was a kid and said, hey, my mom said, do you have a stick of butter? Or can we get a bowl of sugar? Now it's like people are hoarding over their resources because it seems like there's not enough. And we, not I, we have to work collectively and acknowledge that these things are issues. And then we can begin to work on fixing that family unit again.
Dan?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question that who knows what kind of an answer there is to that question, to be honest, because families are really tricky. I think every family is tricky. But I think Wanda's got it right. It's education. I mean, if we really are going to go somewhere and people are going to succeed, they need to be educated. They need to have they need to value education. I think if I look at my own family, my father valued education. There was no question that we were going to do our homework, that we needed to get good grades, that we were going to college. It never even crossed our mind otherwise that we weren't going to do that. And that seemed to be a good recipe that I could say in my family for us to all succeed, at least in the ways that are typical, and supporting ourselves and helping others. So it's hard to see that anything more valuable than education, and I do think that is a problem in our city, and I wish our schools were so much better because I do think it holds Harrisburg back.
Mm-hmm. Let me raise a question here that's come up from Gloria. She wants to know, if elected mayor of Harrisburg or re-elected, what specific actions would you take to support the Latino community, recognizing its growth, economic and cultural contributions, and the unique challenges faced by mixed status and immigrant families? That raises the whole immigration issue and all.
Yeah,
So
it does.
how about you going first, Dan? Okay.
Actually, I like that question a lot because I'm going to go back to my garden because that is, I am very connected to our community, and up in that block of Atlas, 5th Street, Emerald, and Woodbine, there were, I don't know how many, lots of homes that were just shells, and this has been the last 10 years or so, and those homes have been purchased and refurbished and built up, and people are living in them now. And frankly, it's been small Latino contractors, and I think they're great. And I'd like to support them, in any way I can, because they've made a difference in our neighborhood. And I don't want to just say that they're the only ones. I'd like to support any small contractors like that. But that is what I've seen. And some of those people are now my neighbors. And it's a great part of our community. And I wish I could speak Spanish better.
Come on.
Yeah, for me, you have to look at the Latino community as family. If we're looking at the diaspora, if we really think about that and see how we're really connected. And, people complain. You have some complaints in the communities of, they're buying this, they're buying that. They deserve a seat at the table. They've worked just as hard as us to come into the community and pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But, to have that continuous support and those resources. We have resources here in the city. I just feel that we need to put them where they're more impactful, and I don't think it's always happened that way. So for me, as your next mayor, you'll definitely have a seat at the table and continue to build on what you've been building thus far. And we've been watching and been a part of some of the things that you've been doing in your community. And I would like to continue to do that and support any of those efforts, not just with that particular ethnic group, but all of the people. Again, this is a complete puzzle that we have to have. We have to create. You can go to other places and see Little Italy, little Rome, little Spain, and all of that. So we need that right here, a cultural city.
Multicultural.
Multicultural
Right.
city
Okay.
where we're culturally competent as well, and understanding of everyone's needs and respective of everyone's needs. So, I'll just look to continue to support what you guys are building, and would love to be a part of it.
Mayor?
Well, we already are a part of that, We look for contractors to help renovate some of the houses for the senior citizens. And surprisingly enough, we have all Latino contractors who are doing an amazing job. We've talked to those Latino contractors to let them know that down in Dauphin County, there's a repository list. In that repository list, you can purchase a lot or a house for $1,000 that someone else didn't want to purchase at the sheriff's sale. So these Latinos are now purchasing these homes, and they're renovating, and they're now coming up into certain areas uptown, especially, and also out in the Hill, where they're buying 3 and 4 homes and renovating, and they're moving their families in. So we always had a connection with the Latino. As a matter of fact, I've had a connection with all the races, all the culturally, because I've had an opportunity in the last 3 years to visit the 37 different cultures that we had.
37
Yeah, we have
different
different cultures
Wow,
in the city of
37
Harrisburg.
different cultures. That's important to know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Oh,
John.
no, I was just wanting you to know that both these
Okay.
gentlemen wanted to wrap it up.
Okay, they need to wrap. All right, well, I want to thank our editorial board for being here and being a part of this conversation. I especially want to thank the candidates, Mayor Williams.
Thank you.
Councilman Jones, and Treasurer Dan Miller. We really know that you had to do a lot to take time out of your schedules to be here. So thank you, and thanks to all who
And
participated
Joyce,
in
can I
this.
just give a word of encouragement for those individuals who are looking for employment? TLC Workbase, who we are partnered with, collaborating. They're taking 5 to 10 young men at a time to teach them the different construction bases, plumbing and heating. And also there's a different organization called Thrive for those individual women who have children and need a place to stay.
Thrive, okay. All right, very good. Well, thank you all for being a part of this discussion with the candidates.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.